Chapter 1403. In less than 5 minutes, Lin Yuan silently appeared in Oak City. Oak City was indeed a big city in the Divine Wood Federation. Its streets were more than 3 times wider than Nanmu City. The tree houses in Nanmu City were at most 12 to 13 meters tall, with 3 or 4 floors. However, the tree houses in Oak City were all like tree castles, and it was normal for them to be 20 to 30 meters tall. Not far from Lin Yuan, there was a giant tree fortress that was nearly 100 meters tall. The sign hanging in front of the tree fortress had the words, "Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce," written on it. In just a short while, many people had already entered and left the entrance of the tree fortress with the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce's signboard. There were 2 kinds of people entering and leaving the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce. The other type were travel-worn, black-haired, black-eyed caravan members from the Deep Venom Federation. The other type were the nobles of Oak City dressed in exquisite clothing. He was very interested in the chambers of commerce that were controlled by the reclusive noble families in the Deep Lush Federation. He intended to see if he could use any connections here. He wanted to buy plant phase that could produce weather phenomena. Lin Yuan released Lu Jie and Ji Feng from the artifact and led them to the entrance of the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce. 2 blue-clothed attendants were standing at the entrance of Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce. These 2 blue-clothed attendants were carefully watching the guests entering and exiting the chamber. Many of them wanted to enter the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce, but they were stopped by the 2 blue-clothed attendants. When Lin Yuan saw this scene, he immediately knew that there was a threshold to enter the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce. Apart from the members of the Deep Revel Caravan, ordinary customers who wanted to enter the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce would have to pay a visit. The clothes and accessories worn on the body must meet a certain standard. He felt that it was rather strange to wear the ticket on his body for inspection. However, he had to admit that this method was very suitable for the customs of the Divine Wood Federation. Before Lin Yuan could reach the entrance of the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce, there was a sudden commotion at the entrance. They saw a short man dressed in leaf clothes being stopped by 2 attendants at the entrance of the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce. Leaf clothing was the most common type of clothing in the Divine Wood Federation. However, the nobles of the Divine Wood Federation would never wear this kind of leaf clothing. People who wore leaf clothing in the Divine Wood Federation were basically ordinary people. This kind of attire obviously didn't meet the requirements to enter the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce. When Lin Yuan walked closer, he heard a blue-clothed attendant say in an unfriendly tone, "You do not meet the requirements to enter the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce. Please leave immediately. Don't delay the opening of our Flourishing Chamber of Commerce." Just as Lin Yuan was about to walk past this short man and enter the door, Lin Yuan heard an immature and stubborn voice. "I beg of you, please make an exception and let me in. I brought money. I want to exchange for 5 days' worth of inflammation-lowering grass inside." After saying that, the short man seemed to want to prove something. He carefully took out a bulging small cloth bag from his bosom. The short man opened the bag and handed it to the blue-clothed waiter with a hopeful expression. The bag was filled with dirty and messy metal coins. The common currency of the Deep Brahman Federation, Divine Wood Federation and Iron Hammer Federation was the Deep Brahman dollar. Deep Brahman coins are made of crystal. The metal coins in the bag were the inferior local currency of the Divine Wood Federation that was not recognized by the Deep Burn Federation. It was just like the Radiance Federation's Federation dollars. This currency could be exchanged with deep Sanskrit coins, but metal coins could not be circulated in the Chamber of Commerce. To put it bluntly, these merchant guilds that were based in the Deep Burn Federation did not recognize metal coins. Upon hearing that young and tender voice, Lin Yuan turned around and realized that it was a young girl. The short person wearing the leaf clothes should be a 13 or 14-year-old girl. The stubborn look in the girl's eyes was somewhat similar to Chu Si's, who had insisted on buying his medicine back then. Lin Yuan could not help but slow down. The blue-clothed attendant looked at the cloth bag that the young girl handed over with a conflicted expression, as if he was hesitating whether or not to let the young girl in. At this moment, an older blue-clothed waiter spoke. "If anything happens to her after you put her in, I'll tell the vice president that you made the decision on your own. Miss has come to the Chamber of Commerce to check the accounts today. If this child offends the young lady, will you be able to bear the responsibility?" When the younger waiter in blue clothes heard this, the tangled expression on his face suddenly became indifferent. The blue-clothed servant swung his hand forward and pushed the girl in the leaf clothes 2 steps back. The young girl gripped the cloth bag in her hand tightly, and the light of hope in her eyes suddenly dimmed. The young girl pursed her lips and looked around to make sure that no one was paying attention to her. Then she tied the cloth bag and carefully placed it in her bosom. Just as the young girl was about to leave, she felt a pair of warm hands land on top of her head. Before the young girl could raise her head, she heard a clear and pleasant voice coming from above. "If there's anything you want to buy, why don't you come in with me?" From the moment the young girl took out the cloth bag, Lin Yuan noticed that the young girl's fingers were covered with a thick layer of calluses. The young girl's fingers were very rough and did not have any sense of beauty to speak of. The young girl's fingernails were stained with a lot of black dirt. This black dirt was mostly due to the soil that had entered her fingertips, but the layer of black dirt had already invaded her fingertips. This meant that the young girl had done a lot of rough and dirty work. The young girl's finger pads were covered with densely packed fine wounds, and 2 of her fingers were still in a red and swollen state. The leaf clothes that the young girl wore were made of bitter hemp. The bitter hemp looked thick and dark green on the outside, but in fact the bitter hemp leaves had small sharp thorns. When using bitter hemp to weave clothes, it was impossible for the hands not to have fine cuts. The inflammation-reducing grass was a kind of bronze spiritual ingredient that could reduce inflammation and remove rotten flesh. When used by some insect phase, the inflammation-reducing grass was also very effective. For a young girl who always did rough and tiring work to wear the bitter hemp clothes overnight, it was impossible for her to do it without a purpose. It seemed like this young girl wanted to save someone. The inflammation-reducing grass was a very common spiritual ingredient. However, this young girl did not dare to go to the caravan to exchange for it. This meant that the young girl had no one to rely on. For a young girl to exchange for the inflammation-reducing grass in a caravan, she might be targeted by people with ill intentions. When Lin Yuan recalled how the young girl looked around vigilantly and carefully placed the bag with the metal coins in her bosom, he felt a little heartache. He could not help but feel a little heartache. Lin Yuan decided to help this young girl. The young girl raised her head and looked at Lin Yuan. With just a glance, the young girl could not help but be stunned. At this moment, the young girl felt as though she had seen a deity. But soon, the young girl's eyes revealed a vigilant expression. She was like a small deer licking its wounds in the forest. As though she thought of something, the young girl, who was originally prepared to run away, suddenly had some courage. End of this chapter. Chapter 1404. The young lady shrunk her shoulders and said to Lin Yuan in a reserved manner, "Thank you, my lord. Thank you for bringing me in." When the 2 blue-clothed attendants saw that Lin Yuan was standing up for this young lady, their faces revealed looks of disbelief. He did not seem to understand why a nobleman dressed in luxurious clothes would meddle in such matters. The attendant in charge of guarding the door of the caravan had a unique vision and could immediately see that Lin Yuan's spirit chi clothing was extraordinary. However, the 2 envoys did not reveal the joy of having an honored guest. Instead, their expressions became even more solemn. People from the Deep Vendor Federation weren't rare in Oak City. Many large and small chambers of commerce had branches in Oak City. However, in Oak City, the people of the Deep Lush Federation who wore gorgeous clothes and had extraordinary statuses were often the leaders of the various merchant guilds. Or it could be said that the disciples of the hidden noble clans were inspecting their subordinate merchant associations. Because of this, there were very few nobles from the Deep Brahmin Merchant Guild that were in a competitive relationship with each other. The 2 attendants looked at each other and one of them led Lin Yuan into the Chamber of Commerce. He immediately trotted upstairs to report to his superiors. After entering the interior of the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce, Lin Yuan found that it looked somewhat similar to the rare life-form pavilions in the various cities and counties of the Radiance Federation. However, compared to the complete range of goods in the rare life-form pavilion, the goods in the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce were clearly more focused. The young lady entered the Chamber of Commerce and nervously said to Lin Yuan, "Sir, thank you for bringing me into the Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to exchange for the Inferno grass." Lin Yuan felt a little helpless when he heard the girl's words. Just as the young lady was about to leave, Lin Yuan spoke. "It's fine if the person you want to save is a C-rank spirit chi professional. If it's a D-rank spirit chi professional or an ordinary person, The inflammation-lowering herb's medicinal effect will have a huge side effect on the 5 organs, causing them to be congested with blood. If there are parasitic worms in this person's body, and those worms have drilled into the congested organs, it's impossible to save them without an outstanding healing class spirit qi professional. Lin Yuan's words made the young girl freeze on the spot. For a moment, helplessness and grievance welled up in the girl's heart. Bean-sized tears flowed from the young girl's round eyes, leaving 2 obvious tear stains on her small face. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan used his hand to gently wipe away the tears on the girl's face. As a result, Lin Yuan's hand was stuck to the dust on the young girl's face, and her face became a little dirty after Lin Yuan wiped it. He could understand the young lady's feelings. It was unknown how much pain and courage a girl with no one to rely on wanted to save up this bag of coins. But when the young girl was filled with hope that the metal coins she had saved up could save her life, however, he realized that he had been too naive. This kind of disappointment after despair and anticipation was enough to crush a strong-willed adult man. Not to mention a young girl. Since he had met this girl today and brought her into the Chamber of Commerce, he decided to be a good person to the end. Lin Yuan's fingertips flickered with green light, and the young girl's hands, which were full of fine scars, immediately recovered. Even the barbs on the girl's fingernails were all healed. It just so happens that I'm a healer. Stay by my side for now. Once I'm done shopping at the Chamber of Commerce, I'll help you save them. When the young girl heard Lin Yuan's words, she revealed a pleasantly surprised expression and smiled through her tears. The vigilance in the girl's eyes disappeared completely after her hands were healed. The young girl didn't think that she had anything worthy of a healer's attention. In the eyes of ordinary people in the Divine Wood Federation, healer's status was not inferior to creation masters. After all, the ones who truly saved ordinary people's lives were not the creation masters but these healers. The young girl followed behind Lin Yuan quietly, afraid that she would disturb Lin Yuan's observation of the items on display in the Chamber of Commerce. When Lin Yuan walked to the 5th floor, he saw an old man dressed in dark blue clothes coming to greet him. "Young master, I'm the vice president of the Oak City branch of the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce. If you have anything you want, you might as well tell me directly. Or if you want to talk about business, you can talk to me as well." Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan realized that this old man didn't treat him as an ordinary customer. Otherwise, this old man wouldn't mention business. Lin Yuan asked calmly, "Does your Flourishing Chamber of Commerce have a plant fey that can create a weather phenomenon?" Upon hearing that, the old man sized up Lin Yuan's attire again, as well as Lu Jie and Ji Feng behind him. Then he said, "There are many types of plant feys that can create a weather phenomenon. Clear Yang flower, mist wind grass, snow crystal orchid, mist sunflower, and thunder cry chrysanthemum. Our Flourishing Chamber of Commerce currently has some of these 5 in stock. However, our Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce will put these materials up for auction. If young master is interested, you can participate in our Flourishing Chamber of Commerce's auction next Thursday. At that time, these 5 types of plant feys that can create a weather phenomenon will all appear at the auction. If young master wishes to build a new castle and decorate a garden, apart from these 5 types of plant feys that can create a weather phenomenon, the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce will have other surprises waiting for young master to discover." When Lin Yuan heard the old man's advertisement for the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce, he frowned slightly. If the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce's auction was tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, Lin Yuan could still wait. However, today was Tuesday and there were still 9 days until the next Thursday. Lin Yuan couldn't afford to wait for 9 days. "I wonder if the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce can make an exception and let you appraise those pots of spirit plants that can create a weather phenomenon at the auction. I will bid for them now." Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, the old man thought to himself, "Could this youth really be here to buy things?" After seeing through Lin Yuan's intention in coming to the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce, the old man started to treat Lin Yuan as a real customer. Originally, as long as young master is able to pay the price, you can purchase the auction items in advance. The Flourishing Chamber of Commerce's invitation has yet to be sent out, and the auction items can still be changed. The old man let out a sigh and continued speaking. "To be honest, our Flourishing Chamber of Commerce has encountered some trouble recently. The Deep Cold Chamber of Commerce and the Li Origin Chamber of Commerce have joined forces and wish to integrate the Chamber of Commerce's resources in Oak City. Our flourishing Chamber of Commerce's auction must attract enough people to be able to take a breather under the attacks of the Deep Cold Chamber of Commerce and the Li Origin Chamber of Commerce. Therefore, our flourishing Chamber of Commerce will have to put up for auction items as long as they are of good quality. The old man's meaning was very clear. He told Lin Yuan about the flourishing Chamber of Commerce's difficulties and the reason why they couldn't sell in advance. It was considered giving Lin Yuan enough face. Just as Lin Yuan was preparing to negotiate with the old man again, a gentle voice echoed behind him. End of this chapter. Chapter 1405. Young Master, our flourishing fan auction will be auctioning a rainbow jade hibiscus. If young master is interested in those fey plants that can change the weather, I believe the rainbow jade hibiscus should be able to invite young master to participate in the flourishing fan auction. When Lin Yuan turned around, the elder beside him quickly walked forward and said, "Young lady, why aren't you resting inside? Miss, why aren't you resting inside? Why did you come out?" The lady didn't reply to the elder immediately. Instead, she covered her face with her hand and started coughing. The woman's coughing only stopped when her face flushed red from all the coughing. "Elder Duan, the account book is very clear and Elder Duan has calculated every transaction. I didn't have to spend any effort. I heard that an esteemed guest from my hometown is visiting the flourishing Fan Chamber of Commerce, so I came out to take a look." Lin Yuan saw that the lady was wearing an apricot red gown, and there were many bright red feathers stuck on it. These bright red feathers came from a diamond phoenix species bloodline fae. In addition, this lady's expression was very firm and calm, and she had a temperament that could only be nurtured with 100 years of foundation. This temperament was somewhat similar to Sun Ningxiang's temperament. This lady should be from a prestigious and hidden clan in the Deep Lavender Federation. While Lin Yuan was sizing up this lady, the lady was also sizing him up without batting an eyelid. Lin Yuan was wearing a low-profile spirit chi attire today, and the only accessory on his body was a copper cauldron pendant. The design of the copper cauldron pendant was very simple. The copper cauldron was carved with cranes, and it was inlaid with 99 diamond-shaped sea veins. However, this copper cauldron accessory with a simple design was worth at least 6 million deep Brahmin coins. Apart from this accessory, the black spirit chi attire that Lin Yuan was wearing was all woven with black silk. It was embroidered with auspicious patterns, and it was made from the spider silk of a diamond dark-type arachnid fae. Just based on Lin Yuan's attire, this lady had a whole new level of respect for him. Ordinary descendants of wealthy clans like to wear valuable items on their body to show off their nobility. Only those descendants of wealthy clans with a true foundation would be particular about their choice of accessories. It was rare for them to wear more than 2 accessories on their body. The youth before her undoubtedly belonged to the latter. Apart from the clothes he was wearing, Lin Yuan's bearing was even more admirable than his appearance. The woman took 2 steps forward and extended her hand to Lin Yuan. "Hello, I'm Li Wan, the president of the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce." Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan reached out and gently shook the woman's hand. "My surname is Lin." At this time, Lin Yuan's thoughts were all on the rainbow jade hibiscus that Li Wan had just mentioned. Gray had obtained the following skills from Weather Cloud: Clear Weather Radiance, Cloudy Weather Shadow, Snowy Weather Freeze, and Windy Weather Roar. These 4 skills corresponded to the Clear Yang Flower, Een Mist Sunflower, Snow Crystal Orchid and Wind Mist Grass respectively. The thunder chrysanthemum that the old man mentioned just now should correspond to the thunderstorm phenomenon. In nature, thunderstorms are very violent. It had an extremely strong lethality. Before reaching gold, Lin Yuan did not dare to let Gray try to absorb the thunderstorm phenomenon. However, if he had the thunder cry chrysanthemum, he would be able to absorb the thunderstorm aura immediately. The thunder cry chrysanthemum was a plant fae, and the intensity of the phenomenon it released was greatly related to its grade and quality. As long as he controlled the thunder cry chrysanthemum's grade and ensured that the thunderstorm phenomenon released by the thunder cry chrysanthemum would not hurt Gray. Sunny days, cloudy days, snowy days, strong winds, and thunderstorms were all very common natural phenomena. It was easy to encounter them in nature. The rainbow jade hibiscus that this woman named Li Wan mentioned corresponded to the unusually rare rainbow phenomenon. Gray had not had the chance to encounter a rainbow after a rainy day and absorb the rainbow phenomenon. If he could obtain the rainbow jade hibiscus and Gray absorbed the rainbow, he would definitely be able to obtain a new skill. If Lin Yuan did not know the existence of the rainbow jade hibiscus, perhaps he would not insist on trading with the flourishing Chamber of Commerce for the spirit plant that could produce the phenomenon. There were many chambers of commerce in Oak City. The flourishing Chamber of Commerce was unwilling to sell for the auction, but there would always be other chambers of commerce willing to sell. Moreover, Lin Yuan could also use the sincere Chamber of Commerce's relationship to trade with the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce. However, other chambers of commerce had the clear sunflower, fog sunflower, and other common spirit plants that could produce the phenomenon, but they did not necessarily have the rainbow jade hibiscus. As the president of the flourishing Chamber of Commerce, when Li Wan heard that Lin Yuan needed the spirit plant that could produce the phenomenon, she mentioned the rainbow jade hibiscus. She wanted to attract Lin Yuan to participate in the flourishing Chamber of Commerce and gain some popularity for the auction. At that moment, Li Wan's gentle voice sounded in Lin Yuan's ears again. If young Master Lin can participate in the flourishing Chamber of Commerce, I can make the decision to reserve a private room for you. Young Master Lin, during the auction, you will not be disturbed by others. Chapter 1406. Even in the large cities around Oak City, many nobles would fight for the bronze/epic object storing walnuts. He had specially come to Oak City to participate in the Sheng Fan auction. It could be said that as long as they had this pair of bronze/epic object holding walnuts, the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce would rise. Even if Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce and Li Origin Chamber of Commerce joined hands to suppress the other chambers of commerce, they would not be able to suppress flourishing Chamber of Commerce's power. More importantly, Li Wan found that the pair of bronze/epic object storage walnuts in Lin Yuan's hand had obviously not been played with before. Such bronze/epic walnuts were the most expensive. For some great nobles who were not short of money, they could not bear to have their walnuts being played with for a period of time. The pair of walnuts in Lin Yuan's hand was just enough to satisfy the divine wood aristocrat's psychological cleanliness. Li Wan looked around and found a few customers who had been looking at the goods on the 5th floor. From time to time she would glance in his direction. Li Guan hurriedly gestured for Lin Yuan to go ahead. Young Master Lin, why don't you come to the VIP lounge for a drink? It seems like we've neglected our esteemed guest in this grand event. Lin Yuan knew that Li Wan understood his meaning, so he gently tossed the walnut in his hand. Since Guild Master Li Wan treats me as an honored guest, then I, Lin, hope that the flourishing fan auction will be filled with people and that both the host and the guests will enjoy themselves. When Li Wan saw Lin Yuan tossing the bronze/epic walnuts, she confirmed that Lin Yuan really intended to exchange them for the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce. However, even if the price of the spirit plants that could produce a weather phenomenon was several times higher, it would not be enough to exchange for a bronze/epic walnut storage. Li Wan glanced at Elder Duan and said, "Bring the catalog that I drafted last night to young Master Lin and see if there are any items that he is interested in." When the old man heard this, he responded with a smile. "Miss, don't worry. I'll bring the catalog over and send it to the VIP room for young Master Lin to take a look." The old man had seen how much effort Li Wan had put into this auction recently. But the old man couldn't help much. It was true that the Li family was a reclusive aristocratic family of the Deep Burn Federation, but it had declined due to that incident. They could not be compared to the reclusive grand clans behind Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce and Li Origin Chamber of Commerce. The flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce currently had 47 branches in the Divine Wood Federation and the Iron Hammer Federation. However, the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce and the Li Source Chamber of Commerce had more than 100 branches in the Divine Wood Federation and the Iron Hammer Federation. The branches of flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce were being suppressed by Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce and Li Origin Chamber of Commerce. The flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce's branch in Oak City could be ranked in the top 5 among the 47 branches. Therefore, the Oak City branch of the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce couldn't have any mishaps. Otherwise, the caravans under the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce would lose the only transit station between the Shenwu Federation and the Iron Hammer Federation. Now things had finally taken a turn. Li Wan had chosen to bring Lin Yuan to the VIP room because Lin Yuan was an honored guest of the flourishing Chamber of Commerce. Making a deal in the VIP lounge would show how much importance he attached to the deal. On the other hand, the chambers of commerce would send spies to each other. Li Wan could not guarantee that the other customers on the 5th floor were not spies sent by other merchant houses. If his conversation with Lin Yuan was overheard by others, he would definitely be killed. It was inevitable that the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce and the Li Source Chamber of Commerce would take action. The Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce was in a precarious situation and depended on himself. Li Yuan could not let the Flourishing Prosperity auction, which would determine whether the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce could make a comeback, suffer any accidents. On the way to the VIP lounge, Lin Yuan could clearly feel the girl beside him. The expression of this girl, who had not spoken much, became more and more nervous. Lin Yuan stretched out his hand and gently rubbed the girl's head. "I have the inflammation-reducing grass here. You don't need to buy more. When I get what I want, I will help you save the person." While speaking, Lin Yuan took out an inflammation-reducing grass and handed it to the girl. When the girl saw the inflammation-reducing grass in Lin Yuan's hand, she hurriedly took it and held it in her arms. She looked up at Lin Yuan with eyes full of gratitude. "Thank you, big brother." This scene caused Li Yuan's eyes to flicker. Li Yuan had come to see Lin Yuan because she had received a report from the blue-clothed attendant. Therefore, Li Yuan knew that this girl and Lin Yuan had coincidentally met at the entrance of the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce. From the interaction between Lin Yuan and the girl, Li Yuan could see that Lin Yuan was very kind. Otherwise, he would not help a girl who looked like she was from a poor family. This caused Li Yuan's view of Lin Yuan to slightly change. In Li Yuan's view, Lin Yuan's behavior was not in line with the style of the Deep Lush Federation's hidden noble family. But it was undeniable that Lin Yuan was shining. When they reached the VIP lounge, Luo Ye directly picked up a jar from the shelf. Then she came to the table and picked up the crystal cup on the table. "This is the elephant bone wine made from the giant elephant's bones that have been soaked for dozens of years. It is considered my clan's secret. Have a taste." After speaking, Luo Ye was about to pour the wine into the cup. When Li Yuan had just filled the first crystal cup and was about to pour the second cup, Lin Yuan reached out his hand to stop Li Yuan. "Only one of the three of you is drinking. You have a cough disease, so it is not convenient for you to drink." After speaking, Lin Yuan handed the cup full of wine to Ji Feng. Ji Feng usually had the habit of drinking a cup when eating. Now that he had encountered the elephant bone wine of the Deep Lush Federation's noble family, the wine bug in Ji Feng's stomach had long been hooked. Ji Feng took the elephant bone wine that Lin Yuan handed over and took a sip. This elephant bone wine should be made by soaking the diamond elephant bone, elephant blood and elephant grapevine together. It's like the pungent smell of blood being masked by the wine. It's very flavorful. When Li Yuan saw that Lin Yuan's eyes were clear and he said that he didn't drink alcohol, she was stunned. He suddenly felt that Lin Yuan was like a brewer. People who made wine were always clear-headed, and they could take care of themselves at all times and in all places. The concern in the second half of Lin Yuan's words let Li Yuan know that Lin Yuan was a person who was willing to think for others. This made Li Yuan curious. Which hidden family did Lin Yuan come from? Could it be that the hidden grand family that Lin Yuan belonged to only had one direct bloodline? Don't you need to fight for it? Don't you need to fight for it? As long as there was a need to fight, it was impossible to develop such a kind and considerate personality. Before Li Yuan could think more, Ji Feng's words stunned Li Yuan. Although Ji Feng didn't tell them the entire formula of the elephant bone wine, he was able to make it. But the main ingredients Ji Feng were not wrong at all. It was as though he had personally participated in the soaking of the elephant bone wine. This meant that this man, who looked rather mature, must have been drinking on a daily basis. And all the wine he drank was good wine. Otherwise, it was impossible for him to have such a tongue that was good at tasting wine. As for young Master Lin's pair of bronze/epic walnuts, which no one has ever seen before, the auction price is at least 25 million Brahmin coins. This is the highest price ever paid for a bronze/epic walnut. It was sold at the Myriad Treasures auction in Xinglin City for 35 million deep Sanskrit coins. But the price of 35 million is too high. Our flourishing Chamber of Commerce can't afford it. How about this? I'll sell this pair of bronze/epic walnuts for 31 million yuan. What do you think, young Master Lin? When he had been in Nanmu City, he had asked Zhang Tong and Luo Ye about the price of the bronze/epic storage walnuts. The price that Luo Ye and Zhang Tong had offered was around 28 million deep Brahmin coins, which was within the range that Li Yuan had offered. It could be said that the price that Li Yuan offered was very reasonable. When this pair of walnuts was auctioned at the Flourishing Fan auction, it could not be sold for 31 million deep Brahmin coins. After all, the highest price of an item at the auction often had a lot to do with fighting spirit. It seemed that Li Wan was not counting on this pair of bronze/epic storage walnuts to make money with him. Instead, it felt like she was spending money to buy fame. As for those fays that could produce chi phenomena, Li Wan even gave him a discount. It was equivalent to giving him hundreds of thousands of deep Brahmin coins. Lin Yuan was very satisfied with Li Wan's attitude. "I'll do as you say, President Li. Just now, President Li, you asked someone to give me the auction list. I want to buy some of the items on the list with the remaining 20 million deep Brahmin coins." "Of course. Don't worry, President Li. I have no intention of buying everything. I won't buy anything that I don't need. If there are items that I'm more interested in, I don't mind adding some more finale items to the deep fan auction." After saying that, a pair of vermilion walnuts appeared in Lin Yuan's hand. Lin Yuan's words delighted Li Wan. Li Wan was afraid that Lin Yuan would buy everything on the auction list. With this pair of bronze/epic storage walnuts, the Flourishing Fan auction's popularity was stabilized. However, if Lin Yuan bought all the other auction items, it would undoubtedly make the Flourishing Fan auction seem anticlimactic. If it was anticlimactic, people might look down on the Flourishing Fan Chamber of Commerce's foundation. At the same time, when Lin Yuan took out this pair of walnuts, Li Wan was sure that Lin Yuan must have a bronze/epic storage walnut tree. Otherwise, how could there be so many bronze/epic storage walnuts that had just fallen off the tree? This discovery made Li Wan determine Lin Yuan's identity. A hidden clan with an advanced Class 4 creation master or above was enough to stand at the peak of the deep fan auction. This kind of hidden and powerful clan was not something that a declining clan like his could compare to. Chapter 1408. Speaking to here, Li smiled for a moment before continuing. "It's just that for spirit plants like the rainbow jade hibiscus that can produce special phenomena, it's all up to luck." Lin Yuan replied. "Then I'll take out 10 million from my remaining Sanskrit coins as a down payment to purchase these spirit herbs that can produce weather phenomena. From now on, the more spiritual plants like this, the better. I'll eat as many as your Xing Fanxing Club can get." After saying that, Lin Yuan lowered his head and checked the auction list. Lin Yuan didn't want to collect so many spirit plants that could produce chi phenomena just for gray. After Lin Yuan's investigation, he found that the swamp world did not have such weather. The swamp world had a humid and warm climate all year round with no change of seasons. Such a climate was suitable for nurturing most plant-type fays. However, there were some plant fays that required 4 distinct seasons to be nurtured well. If one wanted to nurture such fays in the swamp world, they could only rely on these spirit plants that could produce weather phenomena. When Li Wan heard Lin Yuan's words, her heart trembled. Li Wan blushed with shame at Lin Yuan's nonchalant attitude toward the 10 million deep Brahma coins. Although Li Guan was in charge of the prosperous Prosperity Chamber of Commerce, the 47 branches of the Chamber of Commerce made a lot of money every day. But Li Wan could not really make Li Guan take out 10 million deep Brahmin coins to squander. If the Chamber of Commerce wanted to operate, it needed a large amount of cash. Cash flow was a problem that Li Wan had been worrying about these past few years. After all, the Chamber of Commerce had to invest the cash they had earned from selling goods. Once the cash flow was cut off, the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce would immediately stop doing business. For the flourishing auction that would be held in Oak City in a few days, Li Wan had invested a lot of money to advertise it. Lin Yuan's deposit of 10 million deep Brahmin coins was considered Li Wan's urgent need for publicity. He was halfway through the list, but he didn't find anything that interested him. Most of the items on the auction list were furs and metals. Lin Yuan could have as many of these items as he wanted, and there was no need to trade with the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce. After patiently looking on, Lin Yuan saw some fey auction items. Among these fays, the 2 most outstanding items were the Platinum X/Epic Flamewood Hummingbird. One was a Bronze/Flawless Rain Rabbit. As a firewood dual elemental flying type fey, the Flamewood Hummingbird was rather small and couldn't carry humans. However, it possessed extremely powerful fire and wood elemental abilities. He could even hold it in his arms and raise it as a pet. Furthermore, the Flamewood Hummingbird was rather good-looking, and many spirit chi professionals would like it. This pair of insect-type carcinoma phase were accidentally captured by a merchant group under the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce. But in the process of transporting the goods to Oak City, the merchant group encountered a group of bandits. Although the hidden experts in the caravan managed to wipe out the bandits, they still accidentally broke the container containing the platinum butterfly. Upon hearing Li Yuan's words, Lin Yuan clenched his fist. That young parasite butterfly had to be found. Otherwise, if the young parasite butterfly was allowed to develop freely, Oak City, the Divine Wood Federation, and even the entire Agon continent would fall into endless fear. Fortunately, the parasite butterfly was not released. Otherwise, the fifth calamity would have already spread in Oak City. The young parasite butterfly's calamity was to parasitize all male life forms. It was only a parasite for now. However, if the parasite butterfly started to parasitize female life forms, then the young parasite butterfly would rapidly reproduce. All hosts that were transformed into insect nests would enter the same state under the control of the parasite butterfly and the young parasite butterfly. At that time, the parasitized insect nests would become nutrients and give birth to a life form called chaos worm. Chaos worms only knew how to devour, and they would devour any life form. Ultimately, the entire Agon continent would be devoured by the overwhelming number of chaos worms and turned into scorched earth. If not for the sea separating the Agon continent from the other continents, this fifth calamity might even engulf the entire origin world. While Lin Yuan was training in the Divine Wood Federation, he had already treated the Agon continent as Sky City's backyard. Lin Yuan would not allow the Agon continent to be harmed by an insect-type carcinoma fey like the yin-yang parasite butterfly. Lin Yuan looked at the auction list and saw that the yin-yang parasite butterfly was priced at 12 million deep Brahmin coins. I want this insect-type carcinoma fey. The remaining money will be used as a deposit for the weather spirit herb. President Li, please give me this insect-type carcinoma fey as soon as possible. End of this chapter. Chapter 1409. Li Yuan did not understand what had happened. However, Lin Yuan's tone and attitude had changed after seeing this insect-type carcinoma fey. It wasn't strange for the Chamber of Commerce to auction insect-type carcinoma feys. Basically, there would be an insect species carcinoma fey appearing in every grand auction. Li Yuan originally wanted to continue building a relationship with Lin Yuan, but now was obviously not a good time to do so. In order to express her importance, Li Yuan had personally fetched the container that contained the young parasitic chaos butterflies. Lin Yuan took the 34 spirit plants that could change the weather and the container that contained the parasitic chaos butterflies. He immediately left the flourishing Chamber of Commerce. Ji Feng had never heard of the yin-yang chaotic butterfly, but as Night Leaning Moon's disciple Lu Jia, who controlled the insect-type carcinoma fey to fight, had never heard of the yin-yang chaotic butterfly. Its understanding of the yin-yang turmoil butterfly was even clearer than Lin Yuan's. Lu Jia knew that things were getting out of hand. Fortunately, the parasite butterfly was still in Lin Yuan's hands. The yin-yang chaos butterflies are attracted to each other. As long as the yin-yang chaos butterfly is released, the yin chaos butterfly would instinctively search for the yang chaos butterfly. If the yang parasite had already completed its parasitism, then the yin parasite would be its primary target. He would become the host of the yang parasitic butterfly. This was a secret that the spirit guards had discovered after studying the yin-yang disruption butterfly. Lu Jia hurriedly told this confidential information to Lin Yuan. Upon hearing Lu Jia's words, Lin Yuan, who had left the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce and arrived on the streets of Oak City, spoke to the young lady beside him in a serious tone. I have something important to do right now. If you're in a hurry to go home, leave me an address. You can go back first. I'll go find you as soon as I'm done with this. If you're not in a rush, you can stay by my side. When the young girl heard that, her round eyes immediately revealed a conflicted emotion. The girl thought of her brother's situation and wanted to go home to take care of him as soon as possible. However, the young girl was also afraid that Lin Yuan would disappear without a trace. The young girl felt a warmth from Lin Yuan that she had never felt before. The name of this kind of warmth is care. When the young lady recalled that she still had plenty of food left at home, she whispered to Lin Yuan. Big brother, you're busy. Little Flower will stay by Big Brother's side. When Big Brother is done, I'll go save Little Brother with Little Blossom. Upon hearing the young lady's words, Lin Yuan patted her shoulder. Then, with a grave expression, he broke the container in his hand that contained the Yin parasite butterfly. He released the demonic butterfly, which could be called the fifth natural disaster. This dark parasite butterfly was an Elite 4/Elite insect-type tumor fey, and its flying speed was not fast. Lin Yuan sprinted at full speed and was basically able to catch up to the Yin parasite butterfly's speed in a short time. Under such circumstances, it was obviously inappropriate for him to summon Blackie. Even if Little Black tried its best to restrain its dragon power, its aura could still disturb the Yin butterfly. In order to escape from Little Black, it would be bad if the Yin butterfly didn't look for the young butterfly. Therefore, when Lin Yuan broke the container containing the Yin parasite butterflies, the Yin parasite butterfly's body trembled. Lu Jia let the insect queen inside the dimensional light moth spawn a total of 20 bronze hurricane owlet moths. The hurricane owlet moths formed a group of 5 and controlled the wind element to carry them into the air. He followed the flight path of the parasite butterfly in the air. In order not to disturb the Yin parasite butterfly, Lin Yuan and the others maintained a distance of 30 to 50 meters from it. However, even if Lin Yuan and the others did not disturb the Yin parasite butterfly, it did not mean that others would not. Along the way, many passers-by's gazes landed on Lin Yuan and the others. However, due to the spirit chi attire that Lin Yuan, Lu Jia and Ji Feng were wearing, no one dared to go forward and talk to them. Of course, there were some kind-hearted people who saw that Lin Yuan and the others were chasing after the Yin parasite butterfly but were unable to catch it. They wanted to go forward and help to capture the Yin parasite butterfly while also trying to get close to it. Fortunately, Lu Jia quickly let the insect queen produce a few more gold hurricane owlet moths to stop those people. Otherwise, if the Yin parasite butterfly was startled and flew around, Lin Yuan would not be able to find its location. Oak City was a major city in the Divine Wood Federation, and many of the passers-by were of high status. Some of the passers-by were even creation masters. These creation masters immediately recognized the black gold butterfly flying in front of Lin Yuan and the others. It was an insect-type tumor fey. No matter what kind of insect-type tumor fey it was, it represented a huge amount of wealth. In the face of such wealth, no one would be polite. At such a crucial moment, Lin Yuan didn't have the time to be entangled with these people. As such, Lin Yuan summoned Genius from the Spirit Lock spatial zone. Genius, which was summoned by Lin Yuan, lay in Lin Yuan's embrace and meowed with a childish voice. During this period of time, Genius had been busy teaching the young 100 Questions Beasts and building the 100 Questions Beast Legion. In addition, it had to worry about the layout of the swamp world and the nurturing of some special phase. Chapter 14:10. He slapped the 2 ladies to the ground. The faces of the 2 women who were beaten revealed a look of horror. For a moment, the 2 ladies didn't dare to stand up. When the others saw the situation, they quickly left. They could only hope that young Master Lu wouldn't vent his anger on them. Young Master Lu had black hair and black eyes, and he wasn't a native of the Divine Wood Federation. However, young Master Lu was someone that no one in Oak City dared to provoke. The Deep Frost Trade Association was backed by the Lu family. This fat youth might not be a direct descendant of the Lu family, but he was the study companion of the Lu family's young master. He was highly valued by the Lu family's young master. Even the vice president of the Deep Frost Trade Association's Oak City branch had to be courteous to this fat youth. Such a person wasn't someone that small fries like them could afford to provoke. The fat youth's eyes were filled with ferocity as he looked in the direction that Lin Yuan and the others had left. The 2 of you hurry up and get up to gather people. I want to see who has the guts to do this. He actually dared to hit me, Lu Kuan, for an insect-type carcinoma fey. The 2 ladies quickly got up and started to gather people according to the fat youth's instructions. In order to satisfy the fat youth, the 2 maidservants called Oak City's Deep Frost Trade Association's vice president, Song Dingjin. They asked Song Dingjin to send an expert from the Deep Frost Trade Association to help Lu Kuan. The request of the 2 women made Song Dingjin, who was on the other end of the phone, frown tightly. However, due to Lu Kuan's status, Song Dingjin still sent an expert from the Deep Frost Trade Association and a small team of guards. Song Dingjin couldn't help but let out a soft sigh after hanging up. She then fiddled with the dozens of walnuts in front of her. These object storage walnuts were only of bronze and silver normal quality. The only use of a walnut of this level and quality was to be used by caravans to carry goods. At this moment, a man wearing a black uniform beside Song Dingjun said, "Vice President, did young Master Lu cause trouble again? Vice President, did young Master Lu Kun cause trouble again? Vice President, did young Master Lu cause trouble again?" The cooperation with the Li Origin Trade Association has been finalized. Lu Kun is here to sign the cooperation agreement. After signing the agreement, Lu Kun will leave Oak City in the next 2 days. Now that he has needs, I will satisfy them all. Correct answer, Lu Kun. I'll be able to sit more securely in Oak City. Hearing Song Dingjun's words, the man in the black uniform couldn't help but twitch his mouth. It had only been a week since young Master Lu Kun arrived at Oak City. But because of young Master Lu Kun, more than 100 people had died. There were also many guests of the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce among them. There will be 0 handling fees for the caravans that rely on the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce to exchange for resources. Each round trip will be given a subsidy of 2,000 metal coins. After speaking, Song Dingjun waved her hand. She then picked up the wine pot on the table, poured a cup of wine and sipped it calmly. Lin Yuan had been following the dark parasite butterfly for about 15 minutes. Lin Yuan realized that it had flown to the edge of Oak City. The people living at the edge of Oak City were mostly ordinary people at the bottom of society and some refugees who had nowhere else to go. Order was very chaotic and a series of vicious incidents would often occur. At that moment, the young girl beside Lin Yuan, who had flown into the sky for the first time with a face full of amazement, suddenly said, "That's right. Big brother, why did you fly to Little Flower's place? Xiaohua's house is just around the corner. Big brother, look, that fruit shop is selling rotten fruits that have been hoarded in the city for a few days. When Xiaohua and little brother are hungry, they will take a metal coin and go to the fruit shop to buy some fruit. Buy 5 pounds of rotten fruit. Cut off the rotten part and there will still be 2 to 3 pounds left. It's very sweet." At the mention of food, Xiaohua's round eyes curved up. This smile was very pure and it contained a longing for the future. There wasn't even a trace of pain. Upon seeing Xiaohua's innocent smile, Lin Yuan couldn't help but sigh. Back in the Xia region, he had brought Chu Xi along to survive alone. He had never experienced such a bitter life. End of this chapter. Chapter 1411. After leaving the Radiance Federation, Lin Yuan had truly seen how the dark side of the main world was full of devastation. The next time he returned to the Radiance Federation, the Warm Sun Fund should be able to operate. Lin Yuan could help Xiaohua when he met her, but he could not help everyone in the abandoned city under his feet. Lin Yuan hoped that after the Warm Sun Fund operated, at least the Radiance Federation would not have such a situation again. A ray of warm sunlight shone on the dust-covered man. It should give the dusty people the courage to part with the clouds and see the light together. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan was about to take out 2 spirit fruits from the diamond face storage box for Xiaohua to eat. However, Lu Jie had already taken out a string of gold and handed it to Xiaohua. When Xiaohua saw the gold, she was a little timid at first. However, after Lu Jie revealed a warm smile, Xiaohua was infected by his smile. After thanking Lu Jie, he took the gold tea from Lu Jie. Lin Yuan recalled that when he had first met Lu Jie, it was the darkest moment of Lu Jie's life. At that time, there was no light in Lu Jie's eyes. Even so, Lu Jie still supported many orphans. He even bought education funds for those orphans. Lu Jie should like children very much. Suddenly, Lin Yuan saw the Yin parasite butterfly, which had been flying rapidly, slow down. The Yin parasite butterfly folded its wings and landed like a withered leaf in a dilapidated straw house. Looking in the direction the Yin parasite butterfly landed, Xiaohua exclaimed, "Big brother, that's Xiaohua's home." Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan's pupils constricted. Could the target of the young parasite butterfly's host be Xiaohua's younger brother? If that was the case, it would explain why Xiaohua had gone to buy the inflammation-reducing grass. The host of the young parasite butterfly's insect nest would fester and become inflamed. This was in line with the inflammation-reducing grass's healing range. However, the inflammation-reducing grass was destined to not be able to heal the host of the young parasite butterfly. After the inflammation-reducing grass's medicinal properties stimulated the young parasite butterfly, it would cause it to go crazy. It would also accelerate the festering of the body. Xiao Hua, who had not figured out the situation, saw Lin Yuan turn his head. He asked himself in an abnormally serious tone. Xiao Hua, when did you notice that your younger brother's body started to have inflammation? Xiao Hua thought for a while and said. 4 days ago, Xiao Chao got a big bump on her arm. I took Xiao Chao to ask Uncle Niu. Uncle Niu said that it was nothing and that it was just a boil. I believed Uncle Ox's words, so I took Xiao Chao home. However, on the second day, Xiao Cao's arm began to swell up, and pus and blood slowly flowed out. At night, Xiao Chao passed out. At that time, Xiao Hua wanted to take out all his money to buy an inflammation-reducing grass. On the morning of the 3rd day, my little brother woke up, but after he woke up, he did not like to talk. Xiao Hua was seriously recalling and telling Lin Yuan the contents of the memories. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan and Lu Jie's expressions changed. It was almost certain that Xiao Hua's younger brother, Xiao Chao, was the host of the young parasitic butterfly. Xiao Hua's younger brother, Xiao Chao, had his memories and thoughts stolen by the young parasite butterfly on the 2nd night. On the 3rd day, when Xiao Hua woke up, the person in front of him was no longer his younger brother, Xiao Chao. Instead, it was the Yangji chaos butterfly that could be called the 5th natural disaster. Fortunately, Xiao Hua was not a male. Otherwise, on the morning of the 3rd day, Little Blossom had already been parasitized by the young parasitic butterfly. As soon as the shady parasite butterfly entered the house, before Lin Yuan and the others could land on the ground, the shady parasite butterfly suddenly appeared. The tightly shut door of the hut was suddenly opened from the inside. A 6 or 7-year-old boy ran out of the room. On the little boy's left shoulder was a black gold butterfly flapping its wings. This black and gold butterfly was the parasite butterfly that had just landed in the room. Xiao Hua saw the little boy and quickly called out. Xiao Chao, when older sister left, didn't I tell you not to leave the room? Why did you come out? Go back quickly. Big sister found a big brother who is a healer. He can help you heal the wounds on your body. As Xiao Hua spoke, he prepared to run over and hug the little boy. At that moment, the butterfly on the little boy's fingertip flew towards Xiao Hua like a sharp sword. Before the black and gold parasite butterfly could get close to Little Flower's body suddenly exploded. The 20 bronze hurricane owlet moths that had brought them here had already stirred up a gale and formed a wind prison. They controlled the parasite butterfly, which was only at the elite grade. Seeing that the parasite butterfly was being controlled, the little boy's face revealed a fierce expression. He quickly strode toward Lin Yuan, Lu Jia and Ji Feng. At such a time, Lin Yuan and the others naturally could not let the little boy get close to them. Once the little boy got close, Lin Yuan and the others would not be able to escape the fate of being parasitized by the young parasite butterfly. Lin Yuan stood there quietly, and a quicksand whirlpool appeared under the little boy's feet. The little boy's legs immediately sank into the quicksand whirlpool. Then a pair of palms formed from yellow sand appeared in the quicksand whirlpool. The palm formed by the yellow sand held the young man firmly in its palm. The close-guard sand then boiled and formed a sand mist. It prevented the little boy from using some special means to get close to Lin Yuan and the others. If the parasite butterfly wanted to increase its grade, it could absorb spirit qi in the natural world. The other method was through parasitizing hosts. The more hosts it parasitized, the higher the parasite butterfly's grade and quality. At present, this young parasite butterfly had just finished parasitizing and only controlled the little boy. Its strength was the same as the parasite butterflies, both were elite. Could not break the sand prison formed by the source sand. Little Blossom was stunned by the sudden change in the situation. It looked at its little brother, who was held in the palm of yellow sand, and then at its big brother, who had just given it delicious spirit fruits and wanted to treat its little brother. The little flower instinctively pulled away from Lin Yuan and Lu Jia, wanting to run to its little brother's side to protect him. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan hurriedly pulled the little flower back. He explained the current situation clearly to the little flower. After understanding the situation, the little flower's lips were still tightly pursed. It stared straight at the little boy. Lin Yuan's heart was now abnormally conflicted. The easiest way to make the young parasitic butterfly appear was to destroy its nest. However, Lin Yuan was not willing to do so. This pair of siblings had too many of his and Chu Xi's shadows. Lin Yuan had thought more than once that if Chu Xi had been parasitized by the parasite butterfly a few years ago, what would he have done? Even if he had to become enemies with the whole world, he would not have let anyone hurt Zhou Xian. Even if Zhou Xian had been parasitized by the parasite butterfly and become the source of a natural disaster. At this moment, the little flower's thoughts were probably the same as his. End of this chapter. Chapter 14:12. Lin Yuan lowered his head and looked into Xiaohua's eyes. He could see the stubbornness in them. When he thought about how the yin-yang chaos butterfly parasitized its host, Lin Yuan turned to Lu Jie. Big brother Lu, your insect queen can control insect-type carcinoma phase. Do you have a way to let the insect queen suppress the yin-yang chaos butterfly? I just need half an hour. Upon hearing this, Lu Jie immediately communicated with the insect queen. After some communication, Lu Jie said, the insect queen can suppress the insect-type carcinoma phase. The yin-yang chaos butterfly will steal the host's thoughts and memories, which is the same as absorbing the host's spiritual energy. After the yin-yang chaos butterfly parasitizes its host, it will steal the host's thoughts and memories, which is the same as absorbing the host's spiritual energy. If the yin-yang chaos butterfly parasitizes 2 children, I will use the rainbow angelfish's fish coat to replenish it. It should be able to hold on for half an hour. Based on Lin Yuan's question, Lu Jie had already guessed Lin Yuan's plan. However, this method was too risky. However, it was undeniable that this was undoubtedly the best ending for the little girl and the little boy. After hearing Lu Jie's affirmative answer, Lin Yuan asked Ji Feng. Ji Feng, can your water lotus plant a soul seed in the soul and ensure that it can repair the soul when cracks appear repeatedly? I just need half an hour. Ji Feng replied confidently. If it's against these 2 children, I don't even need to summon the water lotus back. I can just use the soul seed. 1 soul seed is enough for these 2 children's souls to last for a day, let alone half an hour. Upon hearing Ji Feng's statement, Lin Yuan nodded. If the insect queen could guarantee that it could suppress the yin-yang chaos butterfly, Ji Feng could guarantee that Xiaohua and Xiaohua's souls would not dissipate. Lin Yuan was also confident that he could use the jasmine lily's heel and severed limbs while the yin-yang chaos butterfly was wreaking havoc on Xiaohua and Xiaohua's bodies. Even if their bodies were constantly destroyed, they would still be able to regenerate according to their genetic model. These 3 prerequisites were the foundation of what Lin Yuan was going to do next. Lin Yuan looked at Xiaohua, who was pursing her lips and saying nothing. I know that in your world your little brother is the only one. But your little brother is currently being controlled by an insect-type carcinoma Fey. Even if I have a way to extract that insect-type carcinoma Fey from your little brother's body, I will not be able to do so. The instant that insect-type carcinoma Fey leaves your little brother's body will be the moment he dies. Every time Lin Yuan said a word, Xiaohua's eyes dimmed a little. Suddenly Lin Yuan changed the topic. But it's not like there's no way at all. It's just that this method requires you to bear the risk. If this method succeeds, you and your brother will survive. But if this method fails, both you and your brother will die. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Xiaohua grabbed Lin Yuan's sleeve and begged while shaking it. Big brother Little Flower is willing. Please save Xiao Chao. Hearing Xiaohua's words, the 20 bronze hurricane owlet moths that trapped the parasite butterfly suddenly dispersed. The parasite butterfly that was out of control went straight into Xiaohua's body from the back of his neck. Xiaohua, who had just been parasitized by the parasite butterfly, was still conscious. At that moment, a quicksand vortex appeared under Xiaohua's feet. Xiaohua was also grabbed by a palm made of sand. Lin Yuan instructed Xiaohua. Your little brother will wake up in a while. If you can endure the pain in your soul, you can try to encourage your little brother. After speaking, Lin Yuan nodded at Lu Jie and Ji Feng. Lu Jie snapped his fingers and a fairy with long dark purple hair, dark green insect armor, and 2 pairs of dragonfly-like wings flew out of the dimensional light moth's body. This fairy was the insect queen. After fusing with the blade queen bee's spiritual toxin, the mutated insect queen looked very different from before. However, even though the insect queen was wearing an insect armor, it was still very shy and afraid of meeting strangers. The insect queen's personality was really hard to imagine. It was a war machine that could casually produce insect swarms. Lu Jie spoke to the insect queen in a serious tone. Insect queen, try your best to suppress the yin-yang parasite butterfly in these 2 children's bodies. Use the spiritual toxin to reduce the yin-yang parasite butterfly's mobility. Hearing Lu Jie's order, the insect queen flapped its wings and flew toward Xiao Hua and Xiao Chao. The insect queen extended its left hand toward Xiao Hua and Xiao Chao. At this moment, the insect queen's left index finger suddenly turned dark purple. The insect queen poked this dark purple finger into Xiao Hua's neck and Xiao Chao's right arm. Then the insect queen's eyes turned silver. A wave of spiritual energy with a special rhythm rushed toward Xiao Hua and Xiao Chao. This wave of spiritual energy did not target Xiao Hua and Xiao Chao. Xiao Hua and Xiao Chao's bodies were like a filter, and the spiritual energy flowed into their bodies like water. It triggered the spiritual toxin that the insect queen injected into Xiao Hua and Xiao Chao's bodies. They pounced towards the yin and yang butterflies that were hiding in Little Flower and Little Grass's bodies. It tried its best to suppress the yin-yang parasite butterfly in Xiao Chao. However, the insect queen's suppression also caused the yin-yang parasite butterfly to fiercely resist. Especially the yin-yang parasite butterfly that had just entered Xiao Hua's body. It was the first to be caught by the insect queen's spiritual energy. Xiao Hua's body in the giant yellow sand palm began to tremble like a sieve. The lump on Xiao Hua's neck spread in Xiao Hua's body. Many ulcers quickly appeared on Xiao Hua's body, and pus and blood kept flowing out of the ulcers. This was the yin-yang parasite butterfly's action to resist the insect queen's suppression and quickly transform Xiao Hua's body into an insect nest. However, under the insect queen's suppression, the yin-yang parasite butterfly's movements became slower and slower. Ji Feng saw the right time and planted a water lily soul seed in Little Flower's soul. It nourished Little Flower's soul. There was still no movement on Xiao Chao's side. This meant that the insect queen had not found the yin-yang parasite butterfly hidden in Xiao Chao's body. Xiao Chao's body had been transformed into an insect nest, and it wanted to capture the yin-yang parasite butterfly in the insect nest. It needed some time and patience. As the yin-yang parasite butterfly had just entered Xiao Hua's body, everything was still under control. However, it was difficult for Xiao Chao. In the insect nest, the yin-yang parasite butterfly that stole Xiao Chao's spiritual energy was enough to fight against the insect queen's spiritual energy. Even with the help of the insect queen's spiritual toxin, it needed some time to fight. Lin Yuan summoned the jasmine lily and let the bud of mountain jade on the head of the jasmine lily's crystal-like main flower use its ability to heal Xiao Chao. Upon receiving Lin Yuan's command, the bud of mountain jade on the crystal-like main flower bloomed. A green pillar of light shot out from the bud of mountain jade and landed on Xiao Chao's body. It formed a link that transmitted vitality. Chapter 14:13. The wounds and pustules on Xiao Chao's body rapidly recovered under the jasmine lily's healing. At that moment, the insect queen's spiritual energy grabbed the yang parasite butterfly. The yang parasite butterfly started to wreak havoc in Xiao Chao's body. The eggs produced by the yang parasite butterfly broke open in large numbers and turned into yang parasite worms. These yang parasite worms were the reason why the yang parasite butterfly was able to infect other male targets. A large number of yang parasite worms drilled into Xiao Chao's skin, causing widespread infection and ulceration. However, as soon as the wounds appeared, they were immediately healed by the bud of mountain jade. The yang parasite worms had drilled into Xiao Chao's organs more than once. The vitality released by the bud of mountain jade triggered Xiao Chao's genetic model through its exclusive skill, severance. It allowed Xiao Chao's organs to rapidly regenerate. During this cycle, the yang parasite butterfly was affected by the insect queen's spiritual toxin, and its spiritual energy was gradually suppressed. Only then was Xiao Chao's consciousness released. The moment Xiao Chao regained her consciousness, Ji Feng planted a soul seed in her. Ji Feng could only use the soul seed on Xiao Chao when she regained her consciousness. Otherwise, the soul seed would be planted on the yang parasite butterfly's soul. Once the soul seed was given, it could not be retrieved before the energy was depleted. Ji Feng would not allow his mistake to affect the rescue mission. After Xiao Chao regained her senses, she burst into tears. The pain of her body being damaged and repaired had already injured her soul. It was all thanks to the nourishment of this soul seed. Otherwise, Xiao Chao, who had just regained consciousness, would have immediately fainted. Xiao Chao, whose soul was being repaired by the soul seed, saw Xiao Hua at the side and stretched out her trembling hand. It was as though she had seen a baby swallow that she could rely on. Xiao Hua, who Xiao relied on, was just a 13 or 14-year-old girl. When Xiao saw that Xiao had regained consciousness, it endured the pain and wanted to explain the situation to Xiao. Whether it was Xiao or Xiao, they were about to enter the most dangerous moment. This was the young parasite butterfly's dying counterattack. Xiao did not have enough time to explain the situation to Xiao, but Lin Yuan was already prepared. He said to Genius, "Genius, use the interconnected tail. Use the interconnected tail." When Genius heard Lin Yuan, it waved its tail and it immediately turned into a lustrous white illusory link. The silvery white illusory link separated itself from Genius' body and connected the grass and flower. The thoughts and memories of Little Blossom and Little Grass were instantly connected. Just as Xiao and Xiao let out a miserable shriek, Lin Yuan quickly got Genius to withdraw from the interconnected tails. He used the interconnecting tail to connect Xiao and Xiao. Although the two of them could encourage each other through the interconnecting tail, however, the two of them could also feel each other's pain through the tail of connection. The pain was unbearable. The stimulation brought by the two types of pain was something the souls of two young children could not bear. Once the damage to his soul was too great, even the soul seed released by a peak emperor stage expert like Jifeng would be of no help. The Yin parasite butterflies and Yang parasite butterflies were making their final struggle under the insect queen's suppression. The psychic toxin made the Yang and Yin chaos butterflies feel the aura of death. In the final struggle of their lives, Xiao and Xiaohua's bodies broke down one after another. It actually made the jasmine lily feel a little pressured. This was because the yin-yang chaos worms in Xiaohua and Xiao's bodies had hatched in the tens of thousands. As soon as the jasmine lily stopped its treatment, Xiaohua and Xiao would instantly explode like balloons. To be safe, Jifeng released another soul seed for Xiaohua and Xiao's souls. As time passed, Lu Jie's expression became more and more pained. Cold sweat seeped out of his forehead. Normally, the insect queen could easily suppress one insect-type carcinoma Fey at a time. Lu Jie had never tried to suppress two insect-type carcinoma Feys at the same time. Although these two insect-type carcinoma Feys came from the same source, they still had two sets of spiritual energy and soul. Furthermore, one of the insect-type carcinoma Feys had stolen the spiritual energy of a 6-year-old child. Lu Jie took out dozens of fish coats from the diamond Fey storage box and distributed them to the insect queen. He kept 2 or 3 fish coats for himself and quickly ate them. Through the digestion of the fish coats, he replenished his spiritual energy. Just as he felt that the yin-yang chaos butterflies in Xiaohua and Xiao's bodies were about to lose their lives, the two yin-yang chaos butterflies condensed their soul power and collided with Xiaohua and Xiao's souls. Lin Yuan originally thought that the two soul powers would only affect Xiaohua and Xiao's souls. Then they would be healed by the two soul seeds. However, what surprised Lin Yuan was that these two soul shocks had penetrated into Xiaohua and Xiao's souls. A portion of the soul powers then slowly fused with Xiaohua and Xiao's souls. The moment the soul fusion was completed, the yin-yang chaos butterflies' souls were immediately healed by the soul seeds. At the same time, the yin-yang chaos butterflies no longer destroyed Xiaohua and Xiao's bodies. The Divine Wood Federation did not have a star network, so its knowledge reserves were worrying. The Radiance Federation's Class 2 and Class 3 Creation Masters had the ability to concoct all the Class 2 and Class 3 spirit liquids. However, the Divine Wood Federation's Class 2 and Class 3 Creation Masters had limited knowledge. As for the 2-star and 3-star spiritual liquids that he had concocted, only he knew the formulas for them. Although the Divine Wood Federation and the Radiance Federation's Creation Masters' abilities were comparable, their standards could not be compared at all. Even the president of the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce couldn't recognize the Yin parasite butterfly. It was even more impossible for a passerby to recognize the gloomy parasite when they saw it on the streets. If someone really recognized the Yin parasite butterfly, they would have to face this calamity class insect species carcinoma Fey. The Class 4 Creation Master clans that didn't report to Oak City's main affairs would send out their strongest experts. It was truly a child's play. Upon seeing these people, Xiaohua and Xiao instinctively curled up their bodies. Upon seeing the situation, Lin Yuan and Lu Jie pulled Xiaohua and Xiao over. They blocked the two of them behind them. Lu Jie asked Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan, what should we do with these people? Lin Yuan shook his head at Lu Jie. Lin Yuan planned to observe quietly and see what exactly these people were here for. After seeing Lin Yuan shake his head, Lu Jie didn't let the insect queen return to the dimensional light moth's stomach to produce a large batch of flesh-mincing blade insects. Upon seeing Lin Yuan shake his head, Lu Jie did not let the insect queen return to the dimensional light moth's belly and produce a large number of flesh-mincing blade insects. Ji Feng stepped forward and stood in front of Lu Jie and Lin Yuan. At that moment, a total of 40 spirit qi professionals wearing black uniforms suddenly spread out to both sides. At that moment, a total of 40 spirit qi professionals wearing black uniforms suddenly spread out to both sides. Lin Yuan saw an open-air carriage that was pulled by 4 platinum patrol wildebeests. Lin Yuan saw an open-air carriage pulled by 4 platinum patrol wildebeests, and a fat man was sitting on it. The fatty was looking at Lin Yuan with resentment. There were 2 young and beautiful ladies sitting on each side of the fatty. The 2 women each held a tray in their hands. One of the trays had a wine flask and wine cups, while the other had roasted meat and spirit fruits. They were waiting for the fatty to use them. Lin Yuan revealed a doubtful expression. He didn't have any impression of this fatty. Just as Lin Yuan was pondering, an arrogant and ear-piercing voice echoed from the fatty's mouth. "It's you bastards who beat me, Lu Kuan." "Yes, I'm talking to you. Hand over the cat with 8 tails in your arms. I, Lu Kuan, might be able to let you die with dignity." Upon hearing the fatty's words, Lin Yuan immediately knew that this fatty must have been on the street. He had wanted to capture the parasite butterfly but had been hit by Genius Tail. This fatty had spent so much effort to come here, and it was obvious that he was trying to get back at them. Furthermore, from the fatty's words, he wanted to snatch Genius away. Then he would kill all of them. When the fatty saw that Lin Yuan didn't reply immediately, he thought that Lin Yuan was afraid. He spoke with an even more arrogant tone. "Why? Are you afraid? It's useless to be afraid. If you dare to beat me, I, Lu Kuan, will go to hell." As Lu Kuan spoke, the old man standing beside him had an incredulous look on his face. The elder could sense that the 8-tailed white cat in the black-clothed youth's arms was actually a diamond/fantasy breed fae. What kind of behavior is this? How could he bring a diamond/fantasy breed pet with him? Lu Kuan had probably kicked an iron plate. Fortunately, he was a pinnacle king-class expert, and his main fae, the ancient tree dragon centipede, could easily kill this 8-tailed cat that had just become a diamond/fantasy breed. However, was this 8-tailed white cat really the strongest among the black-clothed youth's group? Lin Yuan looked at the arrogant Lu Kuan and asked in a calm tone. "Those who want to kill will always be killed. I believe you understand this logic." When Lu Kuan heard Lin Yuan's words, his expression became even more arrogant. It also made the elder's heart tremble. This black-clothed youth was simply too calm. It wasn't just this black-clothed youth. Even the youth and the middle-aged man beside him didn't put Lu Kuan's group in their eyes. Just as the elder was about to remind Lu Kuan was already cursing at Lin Yuan. End of this chapter. He thought of the person in the cloak who usually did not speak. Only then did Mr. Zhao feel a trace of calmness in his heart. Mr. Zhao still remembered that Lin Yuan had said that this person could guarantee the Sincerity Caravan's safety. When the Sincerity Caravan members gathered under the treehouse, Mr. Zhao deliberately walked to the figure in the cloak and carefully explained the situation to the figure. However, Mr. Zhao did not get any response at all. If this figure was not able to move, Mr. Zhao would have almost thought that this figure was a fake person. As early as a few months ago, news had spread in Oak City that many caravans backed by the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce had disappeared without a trace. However, this was just a rumor. Mr. Zhao did not care much about this. Now that he thought about it, those missing caravans seemed to have made a fortune before they disappeared. Thinking of this, Mr. Zhao felt a chill in his heart. It made Mr. Zhao shiver involuntarily. However, Mr. Zhao obviously could not say this to the other members of the Sincerity Caravan. This was because it would only cause chaos in the caravan. It would not solve any problems. If he took this thought seriously and ran away, it would be the same as wasting all the resources that Lin Yuan had given to the Sincerity Caravan. Lin Yuan was the Sincerity Caravan's benefactor, and he had given it hope and the capital to rise. No matter what, Mr. Zhao did not want to let Lin Yuan down. Mr. Zhao forced himself to calm down and led the 100 members of the Sincerity Caravan to the entrance of the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce. As a result, Mr. Zhao realized that the attendants guarding the entrance of the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce did not stop them like usual. End of this chapter. In an instant, Oak City's Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's nearly 400-meter-tall tree fortress became a blazing fire tree. Originally, Mr. Zhao thought that he was about to be swallowed by this dark green giant toad. The other members of the Sincerity Merchant Group would also be slaughtered in the narrow corridor of the 8th level of the Deep Frost Merchant Group's tree fortress. After confirming the truth, Mr. Zhao felt an indescribable anger, grievance and self-blame. If he had thought of that possibility and come to the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce alone to investigate the situation, he told Zhao Jiaji in advance that if he couldn't get through to him, he immediately led the Sincerity Caravan away from Oak City. Perhaps the other members of the Sincerity Merchant Group wouldn't have to die. Along the way from the Iron Hammer Federation's border to Oak City, Mr. Zhao had envisioned the future countless times. He thought that he could show off his abilities and let the Sincerity Merchant Group have a good development. At the same time, he wouldn't let down Lin Yuan's expectations. He could even let his grandson Zhao Daodu contract a Fey that wasn't bronze/normal or elite. Instead, he could consider a bronze/flawless Fey, which was something he didn't dare to think about before. Who would have thought that the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce, which the Sincerity Merchant Group relied on, was actually a giant mouth hidden in the darkness. In order to collect resources, they were engaged in the business of silencing the merchant group. However, in the face of a behemoth like the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce, they had no room to resist. It could be said that Mr. Zhao had never encountered a platinum/fantasy breed Fey before. Mr. Zhao didn't think that the people that Lin Yuan had sent to him would be of use under such a strong enemy's attack. After all, Lin Yuan's silver-armored servant's combat strength was only comparable to the servant in front of him. In fact, when Han Tianhe had made a move, Lin Yuan had already known about the situation here through Red Thorn. Han Tianhe's sudden attack had been incited by Lin Yuan. The Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's tree fortress was one of the taller buildings in Oak City. It was only 50 meters lower than the Class 4 Creation Master family's tree fortress that was in charge of Oak City. The burning Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's tree fortress was in the eyes of almost everyone in Oak City. No one in Oak City would have thought that the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's headquarters, which usually represented wealth and power, would actually burn. It was actually burning. In the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's 400-meter-tall tree fortress, apart from the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's headquarters, there were also people who came to purchase goods. There were also customers who came to purchase goods and caravan members who came to exchange goods. Chapter 14:18. Lu Kuan had led the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's main force to kill Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan only placed the blame on Lu Kuan and did not vent his anger on the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce. Now, the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce wanted to silence the entire Sincere caravan because of the lack of resources. It was tantamount to scheming against Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan had previously made a living by opening a Fey store. Although they were doing a different business from the caravan members, the logic was the same. Compared to him, these caravan members always had their heads on their waistbands. They were using their lives to earn hard-earned money. Moreover, these caravans would be especially reliant on those large merchant associations. If a large merchant group wanted to do something behind their backs, these small caravans wouldn't have the power to resist. During the process of opening the Fey store, Lin Yuan had also been troubled by the suppliers. When he had been weak, he had experienced the feeling of not even having the capital to resist. The Deep Frost Caravan could attack their subordinate caravans for a few 100,000 deep Brahmin coins worth of resources. It was enough to show how despicable and evil Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce was. He thought about how Red Thorn had lured the members of the Sincere caravan to the 8th floor based on Han Tianhe's perception of the attendant. It was likely that before the Sincere caravan, many caravans had already fallen at the hands of the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce. Such a Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce was rotten to the core. In Lin Yuan's opinion, there was no need for the Deep Frost Trade Association to continue existing. As soon as Lin Yuan left the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce, Li Wan, the president of the flourishing Chamber of Commerce, had a thoughtful expression on her face. Li Yuan took the pair of bronze/epic walnuts that she had gotten from Lin Yuan and gently played with them. Logically speaking, this pair of walnuts should solve the urgent problem of the Xingfan auction house. Such a finale item was enough to raise the reputation of the flourishing Chamber of Commerce to another level. But Li Yuan did not feel very happy at this time. She placed all of her attention on Lin Yuan. She was thinking about why Lin Yuan had immediately left the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce when he had seen that black gold butterfly-like carcinoma Fei. When he had left, he hadn't even left behind his phone number. The only thing that could make Li Yuan feel at ease was that Lin Yuan still had a deposit of more than 10 million deep Brahman dollars. With these deposits, Lin Yuan would definitely return to the flourishing Chamber of Commerce. Suddenly, Li Yuan, who had been deep in thought, felt her throat burn and she started to cough violently. As Li Yuan coughed furiously, a fishy sweetness entered her mouth. Even young Master Lu Kun didn't dare to be impudent in front of the Ding clan. Once they provoked the Ding family would not allow the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce to continue opening a branch in Oak City. Even if someone from the Lu family came to plead, it would be useless. Song Dingjun had thought that he would be able to find the culprit behind the fire and have a big fight. But who would have thought that no one would make a sound? At this moment, the people from the Li Source Chamber of Commerce arrived. The green-clothed youth didn't speak, but the middle-aged woman understood the green-clothed youth's intention and asked Song Dingjun. President Song, the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce has just signed a cooperation agreement with our Li Source Chamber of Commerce, and they have already created such a mess. Our Li Source Chamber of Commerce needs your Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce to give us an explanation. Song Dingjun hurriedly responded. Our Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce will investigate the cause of the Tree Fortress's fire and immediately rebuild it. Our cooperation with the Li Source Chamber of Commerce will not be affected. Hearing Song Dingjun's words, the green-clothed youth who was leading the Li Source Chamber of Commerce spoke in an unfriendly tone. You make it sound so simple. If even the base is burning, how can your Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce still have any prestige in Oak City? I request that the Li Source Chamber of Commerce take the lead in the signed agreement, and the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce will cooperate. Hearing the green-clothed youth's words, Song Dingjun frowned even more. Song Dingjun thought to herself, it would be great if Lu Kun was back. Only Lu Kun could compete with Zhuang Bei. Zhuang Bei was a member of the Zhuang family, which was a member of the Lu family who did not share the same surname. Facing Zhuang Bei's accusation, Song Dingjun was prepared to stall for time until Lu Kun returned. Song Dingjun's gaze swept across the customers and members of the caravan who had just escaped from the Tree Fortress. Since no one has admitted to it, then all of you will have to take responsibility for the burning of our Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's Tree Fortress. End of chapter. Chapter 1420. After Mr. Zhao escaped from the Tree Fortress, his eyes had been on the figure shrouded in a cloak. Mr. Zhao had never seen such a grand gathering of Oak City's nobles. Mr. Zhao felt that his legs were a little weak. However, since the figure under the cloak didn't say anything, Mr. Zhao didn't dare to rashly admit the matter. The person that Lin Yuan had sent to protect the sincere E-caravan could kill a platinum/fantasy breed Fei. However, he might not be able to defeat a diamond/fantasy breed Fei. Moreover, the Class 4 Creation Master Ding family of Oak City had an Emperor-class expert. An Emperor-class expert was a legendary figure. Seeing that no one said anything, Song Dingjun immediately gave a fierce order. The three of you kill all the people that escaped from the Tree Fortress. Just as the three King-class experts heard the order and were about to command the Fae to take action, a clear voice came from the crowd. I was the one who burned the Tree Fortress. But I think your Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's people should be able to guess why this Tree Fortress was burning. This statement caused the pupils of the onlookers to shrink. It could be said that this statement was out of everyone's expectations. Even Oak City's Class 4 Creation Master clan, the Ding clan, had sent 2 experts over. They all thought that the matter would end with Song Dingjun executing the people that escaped from the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce. After all, someone had to take the blame for the destruction of the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's Tree Fortress. These customers and members of the caravan that escaped from the Tree Fortress were undoubtedly the best scapegoats. The 2 experts from the Ding family tacitly agreed to this behavior. Although there were a few minor nobles among the customers that escaped from the tree houses, They didn't have any power. Thus, it didn't matter if they died. Unexpectedly, someone actually took the initiative to take the blame for this disaster. Was the person who said that stupid? Didn't the person who spoke know that he had agreed to it in front of everyone? It was the same as taking the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's hatred. Was there really someone who wasn't afraid of the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's 3 sinister diamond/fantasy breed phase? From the meaning of the words, it seemed like there was an inside story of the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's destruction that outsiders didn't know. After hearing this voice apart from Song Dingjin, Li Wan had the greatest reaction. Because Li Wan was very familiar with this voice. This voice belonged to young Master Lin who had just left the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce not long ago. As Li Wan worried for Lin Yuan, she secretly rejoiced. Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce and Flourishing Chamber of Commerce were enemies, and could no longer return the favor. If Lin Yuan became mortal enemies with the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce, no matter if he formed an alliance with the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce or not, the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce would not be able to survive. They were all standing on the same side. Song Dingjin had nowhere to vent her anger. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's voice, Song Dingjin immediately scolded loudly. The person who just spoke. Get out of the crowd. Let me see what ability you have to burn down the tree fortress of my Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce. The moment Lin Yuan spoke, the onlookers around him hurriedly distanced themselves from him. He was afraid that if he stood too close to Lin Yuan he would be mistaken as one of them and get into trouble. As Lin Yuan moved forward, the crowd automatically made way for him. Lin Yuan carried Genius with his left hand and Xiaohua with his right. The dimensional light moth flew on Lu Jie's right and Xiao Chao on his left. On the other hand, Ji Feng walked in front of Lin Yuan and Lu Jie, opening a path for them. Everyone's eyes fell on Lin Yuan and his group. They were secretly shocked by the bearing and appearance of Lin Yuan and his group. However, in many people's eyes, Lin Yuan and his group of 5 were soon dead. In terms of appearance, apart from the 2 children, this group of people had black hair and black eyes. They were definitely people of the Deep Lush Federation. If they were local nobles from the Divine Wood Federation, it would be fine if they went against the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce. How could someone from the Deep Lush Federation dare to start a conflict with the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce? Could it be that this group of people was not aware of the hidden Tyrant Lu family's power in the Deep Lush Federation? The 3 king-class experts behind Song Dingjin immediately used their diamond/fantasy breed phase. They flew toward Lin Yuan and his group. They were prepared to kill Lin Yuan and his group to restore the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's reputation. At that moment, the dimensional light moth flying above Lu Jie's head flapped its wings. Under the flapping of the dimensional light moth's wings, circles of spatial ripples were formed in mid-air. These spatial ripples oscillated around rhythmically. All of a sudden, over a dozen insect squads consisting of 10 diamond V/fantasy eye flesh-mincing blade insects appeared around the venue. They surrounded the 3 king-class experts' diamond/fantasy breed phase. Then a feast of the insect swarm began. As soon as over a dozen squads of flesh-mincing blade insects appeared, they immediately rushed toward the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's 3 diamond/fantasy breed phase. Soon 7 or 8 palm-sized flesh-mincing blade insects crawled onto the scarlet-furred giant wolf. These flesh-mincing blade insects crawled onto the giant wolf's body, and their 8 legs quickly stirred. The giant wolf immediately let out a panicked howl. Chapter 1421. Wood shavings were peeled off the plant Fae's body. Finally, this Fae was forcefully crushed by the insect limbs, leaving only the tree core. Before the ladybug Fae was struck down by the hurricane owlet moth. A Diamond X/Fantasy V lightning gathering moth and a Diamond X/Fantasy V plasma caterpillar came out of the dimensional fluctuation. The plasma caterpillar spat out dazzling bright purple plasma. The lightning gathering moth condensed the bright purple plasma and shot out a dark purple plasma beam. This plasma beam penetrated the ladybug Fae flying in the air and burned it into charcoal like the tree fortress. During the process of Lu Jie attacking the Deep Frost Trade Association's 3 diamond/fantasy breed phase, the people from the Li Source Trade Association and the 2 experts from the Ding family just watched coldly from the sidelines. They did not have any intention of helping. This battle, in which hundreds of diamond/fantasy breed insect species phase had been mobilized, made everyone look at Lin Yuan and the others with fear. Lin Yuan walked straight toward the Sincere Caravans group. Looking at the horrified Song Dingjin, Lin Yuan said, I think the Deep Frost Trade Association should be willing to calm down and talk to me now. I think the Deep Frost Trade Association should be willing to calm down and talk to me now. I wonder how much ill-gotten wealth your Deep Frost Trade Association has earned from killing caravans over the years? Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Song Dingjin's expression suddenly changed. It also made the surrounding people look at the Deep Frost Trade Association's people with complicated gazes. The Deep Frost Trade Association could be said to be the chamber of commerce that provided the best benefits to caravans among all the chambers of commerce in Oak City. Whether it was free food and lodging or the provision of 2,000 metal coins. It made some small caravans very grateful to the Deep Frost Trade Association. However, in recent years, the news of the disappearance of Oak City's caravans had never stopped. Moreover, a lot of evidence pointed to the disappearance of these caravans, which was inseparable from the Deep Frost Trade Association. However, due to the Deep Frost Trade Association's power, any guesses could only be said behind their backs. No one dared to openly say such baseless guesses and offend the Deep Frost Trade Association. However, Lin Yuan's words were tantamount to bringing everyone's guesses to the table. It clearly pointed out the Deep Frost Trade Association's evil deeds. Could this be the truth behind the burning of the Deep Frost Commerce's tree fortress? Zhuang Bei, who was the leader of the Li Source Chamber of Commerce, and the middle-aged woman frowned at the same time. The Li Source Chamber of Commerce had always focused on the capital city, Sacred Forest City. Chapter 1423. Oak City's Central Region. The various chambers of commerce, including the Class 4 Creation Master Ding family and the native nobles. They were all shocked by the fact that Lin Yuan had killed all the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's members. The moment the major factions learned of the situation, the higher-ups made decisions. They were deciding whether to find out more about Lin Yuan and rope him in, or to stay away from Lin Yuan and be an outsider and not get involved in trouble. However, even if Oak City's central region was shaken, it had nothing to do with Oak City's wasteland. When Su Yiren had first arrived at the Divine Wood Federation, she had been active in Oak City's central region. However, during her time in the Central District, Zhou Xian was humiliated every day because of her status as a refugee. Just because she was an eyesore, she had been attacked by the native nobles who passed by. She had almost died because of her severe injuries. It was at that time that she had first entered the Celestial Council and received Lin Yuan's help. After she had woken up, her injuries had completely healed. That had given her the capital to continue living. The cruelty of living in Oak City's central region had made Su Yiren understand that it was not suitable for her to survive. Therefore she had gone to the wasteland. Oak City's native nobles had their own identities and would not step foot in the wasteland. After arriving at the wasteland, Su Yiren would face refugees like herself. To be honest, the unmanaged wasteland that followed the law of the jungle was much more dangerous than the main city. But here Su Yiren had found a way to survive. The first thing she did when she arrived at the wasteland was to dirty herself. The dirt on her face made it impossible to see her original appearance. Su Yiren was not short and was around 1.67 meters tall. Su Yiren stuffed a large amount of fallen leaves that could be seen everywhere in the wasteland. She stuffed these dried leaves into her clothes to make herself look stronger. This made it so that almost no scavengers would take the initiative to target Su Yiren. But such peaceful days did not last for long. In order to survive, they had to wait for Lin Yuan's redemption. Su Yiren did her best to scavenge. Almost half of the people in the wasteland made a living by scavenging. Over the past few days, Su Yiren had scavenged many edible items. She had even scavenged a mobile phone that could be used for communication. However, no matter how stealthily Su'ul scavenged, she still caught the attention of other scavengers. Su Yiren, who used to be a gloom envoy, had not dared to sleep for the past few days. Even if he was sleepy and wanted to take a nap, he could only squint his eyes. A few days ago, while Su'ul was resting with her eyes closed, she was attacked by a male scavenger with a rusty dagger. Fortunately, Su Yiren had piled up many copper gong leaves around her landing spot in advance. The slightest tremble would produce a crisp sound. That was why Su Yiren woke up in shock. However, even though Su Yiren had woken up, it was still too late. Fortunately, Su Yiren had special combat training. The startled Su Yiren hurriedly used her palm to block the dagger, risking injury to her palm. He used his palm as a shield. Zhou Yiren's combat skills played a crucial role in the fight. Su Yiren expended a great deal of effort to kill the man, and Su Yiren managed to obtain a rusty dagger. After Zoel obtained the rusty dagger, she found a few hard stones. She polished the dagger for half a day. She forcefully turned the dagger, which had basically no lethality, into a lethal weapon. Originally, Su Yiren's heart was full of hope. However, the Celestial Body Conference was not held as scheduled, and Su Yiren's eyes were clouded with a layer of gray fog. Whether it was the sky or the sun, Su Yiren, who had lost all hope, was gray. Su Yiren had struggled to survive in the Divine Wood Federation for so long, and could already predict when she would fall unconscious from the pain caused by her injured soul. Su Yiren, who had calculated the time, would use the dagger to find those who had their eyes on her. Then she would take the initiative to attack. Because Su Yiren knew that once her soul injury acted up and she entered a state where she could not move, even a child could easily end his own life. In order to protect herself, even if Su Yiren was once as noble as a gloom envoy, she still had to abide by the inherent law of the jungle in the wasteland. Fortunately, Zoel had managed to get rid of a lot of potential dangers with her dagger while waiting for the next Celestial Body Conference. However, in a battle, in order to avoid the scavenger's hammer, Su Yiren had to use her left shoulder as a shield. Su Yiren had to use her left shoulder as a shield to block the blow. Su Yiren, whose soul was injured, could not use storage equipment. As a result, Su Yiren could only wear the items she had scavenged. Su Yiren placed the phone, which represented hope, on her chest. However, she did not expect that the scavenger had such good fighting skills. Seeing that Su Yiren used her left shoulder to block the blow, the scavenger changed the direction of the hammer. The huge hammer smashed down on Su Yiren's chest, smashing the phone in her chest. In the end, Su Yiren did not suffer any other injuries except for the blood in her chest. The scavenger's attack on Su Yiren gave Su Yiren an opportunity to end the scavenger's life with her dagger. However, this hammer strike had destroyed Su Yiren's remaining hope. In Su Yiren's mind, even if the next Celestial Body Conference was held as scheduled. However, without the cell phone, even if the figure of the Celestial Body Council really came to the Divine Wood Federation in Oak City, how would they find her? Ever since the phone was broken, Su Yiren lived like a walking corpse. Su Yiren could only rely on her instincts to protect her life with the dagger in her hand. In every battle, if she was lucky, she would only suffer minor injuries. If she was unlucky, bleeding and broken bones were common. New injuries and old injuries added on top of each other. Su Yiren felt that the pain in her body was comparable to the pain in her soul. Especially her palm, which had been pierced by the dagger. In every battle, Su Yiren would use her palm to attack or defend. This did not give Su Yiren's wound any chance to scab. The dirty environment and biting mosquitoes caused Su Yiren's left palm to swell to 3 times its original size. The night in the wasteland was always the most difficult to endure. At this time, Su Yiren, who had just endured the soul injury, felt that her mind was extremely clear. Su Yiren felt like she was seeing her childhood, the prosperous Dark Seven Nations. Even the ceremony where she became a Dark Envoy was still vivid in her mind. At this moment, Su Yiren felt extremely tired. This kind of exhaustion was not something her body could bear. Zhou Yiren felt the injuries on her body and laughed bitterly. I probably won't be able to last until the next Celestial Body Conference. Chapter 1424. Just then Su Yiren heard a series of footsteps from afar. The footsteps were very steady and unhurried. It was like a few noblemen strolling in a garden. Su Yiren's heart jumped. Based on the footsteps, Su Yiren knew that there was more than one person coming in her direction. At this time, Su Yiren could barely fight one person, let alone a few people. Su Yiren sighed. She did not pick up the dagger and stubbornly stood up. Instead, she slowly placed the dagger on the ground. Su Yiren lowered her head. She did not look in front of her. She just quietly looked at the ground. Perhaps after she died she would also turn into dust. Just like the fallen Dark Continent. Just as Su Yiren was about to give up and think that she was about to be freed. Looking at Su Yiren on the ground, she saw a pair of white boots with cloud patterns embroidered on them. The white boots that suddenly came into view made Su Yiren's expression change. because these white boots should not have appeared in a place like the wasteland. At that moment, Zhou Xian heard a clear voice from above her head. If you can still hold this dagger, you shouldn't have thrown it on the ground. Hearing this clear voice, Zhou Xian's eyes widened. Her pupils flashed with a look of disbelief and joy. In that instant, Zhou Xian's gray eyes were dyed with a myriad of colors. Zhou Xian suddenly raised her head and looked up with a burning gaze. Zhou Xian's eyes met a pair of warm black eyes. Zhou Xian had heard Lin Yuan's voice before in the Celestial Body Council. Zhou Xian did not know how many times she had dreamed of Lin Yuan's voice. Now that she suddenly heard it, Zhou Xian felt as if her soul and body had been saved. A person who had held on to hope but gradually lost hope, suddenly grasped it again in the face of despair. It felt as if she had been reborn. Zhou Xian struggled to stand up from Lin Yuan's feet. But there was not a single part of her body that was unharmed. Zhou Xian, who was infected in many places, no longer had the ability to stand. After struggling for a while and confirming that she could not stand up, Zhou Xian used her injured right hand to hold the dagger with difficulty. She wanted to say something to Lin Yuan, but she did not even have the strength to open her mouth. Xiao Hua and Xiao Chao were both born in the abandoned city. Xiao Hua and Xiao Chao had seen many wanderers with injuries like Zhou Xian's. When Xiao Hua saw Zhou Xian, he subconsciously wanted to pull off the leaves on his body. However, when Xiao Hua's hand touched her clothes, she realized that she was wearing clothes made of leaves. Let me recommend you the reading app that I've been using recently. There are many sources of books and the books are complete. It's updated quickly. Instead, it was the brocade that Lin Yuan had sewn. Xiao Chao held Lu Jie's hand tightly and looked at Lin Yuan and Lu Jie eagerly. He looked as if he wanted to say something but didn't dare to. Then Xiao Chao looked at Little Blossom with a look that said, "Big sister, quickly think of a way." Lin Yuan and Lu Jie noticed their reactions. Lin Yuan and Lu Jie were rather gratified and surprised at the same time. Xiao Hua and Xiao Chao had been living in a tough environment. Xiao Hua and Xiao Chao were family, so it was reasonable for them to care about each other. But he didn't expect that Xiao Hua and Xiao Chao would also be kind and sympathetic to the wanderers around them. This was a precious quality that was hard to maintain in a tough environment. Xiao Hua and Xiao Chao should have received help from some kind-hearted people during their years living in the abandoned city. Otherwise, this kindness and compassion would have long been wiped out by the evil thoughts that had been bred in him. Lin Yuan studied Zhou Xian's face. Zhou Xian's swollen and dirty face made it impossible for Lin Yuan to see what she looked like. Zhou Xian, who was lying on the ground, did not have any aura to speak of. Lin Yuan looked at the water lily who had just come to Ji Feng's side. The water lily saw Lin Yuan's gaze and stepped forward to speak softly. "My lord, I don't have the ability to heal injuries. When we found her here last night, her injuries were already this serious. In order to let her wait until you arrived, I even took care of some of the wanderers who had their eyes on her. Otherwise, those wanderers would have taken care of her before nightfall." Lin Yuan nodded and shook his hand. A green light landed on Zhou Xian's body. Under Lin Yuan's healing, Zhou Xian's injuries were quickly healed. Zhou Xian, who had fully recovered, looked much smaller than before. It was enough to prove just how swollen Zhou had been. Just as Zhou Xian was about to stand up, the injury to her soul suddenly acted up. Zhou Xian groaned and curled up on the ground, hugging her head as she trembled. Lin Yuan said to Ji Feng, "Ji Feng, let the water lily try and see if it can heal the wound on her soul. The damage to her soul is related to the sacred source life form in a near-death state. It may be more troublesome to cure," Wang Yao said. Upon hearing that, Ji Feng immediately commanded the water lily to plant a soul seed in Zhou Xian's soul. The moment the soul seed entered Zhou Xian's soul, Ji Feng and Jianlan's expressions changed to one of shock. Ji Feng and the water lily realized that Zhou Xian's soul was completely cracked. An unknown plant with only its roots was rooted in the center of Zhou's soul. Even the roots of this fei were a little withered. The soul-nourishing power released by the soul seed seemed to have touched this plant. It caused the plant's roots to move gently. Upon seeing that, the water lily detonated the soul seed, guiding the soul seed's energy to nourish Zhou Xian's soul. It completely ignored the loss of energy in the soul seed. With this level of nourishment, Zhou Xian's trembling body slowly calmed down. Chapter 1425. At that moment Zhou Xian stood up. Zhou Xian looked at Lin Yuan and pondered for a moment. Then she bowed firmly to Lin Yuan and said, "I will be your subordinate from now on. From now on I will be one of your subordinates, my lord. If there is anything you need me to do, please let me know. My name is Zhou Xian." Zhou Xian's words made Lin Yuan look at her in surprise. In Lin Yuan's opinion, as a dark envoy, it would be difficult for Zhou Xian to immediately change her attitude after joining the Heavenly Council. She still needed to be corrected and tempered. In the end, Zhou Xian's reaction was far beyond Lin Yuan's expectations. She actually addressed him as a lord. Since Zhou Xian had made her stance clear, Lin Yuan had nothing to be stingy about. Lin Yuan had just obtained the island whale brain oil, so he did not lack things that contained soul energy. However, if he really looked into things that contained life energy, Lin Yuan only had the life form Silent Flame and the Jasmine Lily's life energy. The life form Silent Flame was a rare fire-type item and could be used as a tree core for plant phase. It had the effect of reviving plant phase. It was very feasible to use the life form Silent Flame to heal Zhou Xian's plant sacred source life form, but Lin Yuan did not want to use up the only life form Silent Flame he had. The Jasmine Lily was currently only a platinum/fantasy breed fae. The life energy released by the Jasmine Lily was obviously not enough to heal Zhou Xian's sacred source life form. However, compared to using up the life form Silent Flame, Lin Yuan was still willing to open the life imprint. He used the accumulated life energy in the life imprint to heal Zhou Xian's sacred source life form. The last time Lin Yuan activated the Jasmine Lily's life imprint was when he was saving the Mother of Bloodbath. It had been a week since the Mother of Bloodbath had become a favored spirit. During this week the life imprint had accumulated a lot of life energy. Under the night sky, Lin Yuan opened the life imprint, and a large green lotus flower pattern appeared on his forehead. The surging life energy flowed through Lin Yuan's body from the green lotus flower pattern. It made Lin Yuan's skin exude a pale green luster of life. Lin Yuan took out the smallest of the 3 pieces of island whale brain oil and threw it to the water lily. He placed his palm on top of Zhou Xian's head and slowly released life energy into her body. After receiving the island whale brain oil from Lin Yuan, he ordered the water lily to quickly guide the soul power in the island whale brain oil. Infuse this soul energy into Zhou's soul. Then he detonated the soul seeds one after another, using the soul seeds to recover the soul power released by the soul seeds to speed up the absorption of the sacred source life form's soul power. Zhou Xian's sacred source life form absorbed the island whale brain oil's soul power. It was also absorbing the vitality that Lin Yuan had injected into Zhou's body. After dozens of soul seeds detonated, the plant root in Zhou Xian's soul grew a small red and green spike. There were a few light purple leaves growing on the stem. From the moment these leaves appeared, they continued to grow. From a tender green, it had evolved into a dark green mixed with a rich purple color. And among these 5 or 6 leaves, there was a green flower bud that was half the size of a palm. The green flower bud grew bigger and bigger until it was the size of a palm. The green flower bud had already turned into a charming pink. The huge pink flower bud slowly unfolded and turned into a beautiful and enchanting flower. Ji Feng and the water lily, who had been examining Zhou's soul, had an infatuated expression on their faces. It was as though in an instant the female plant fae water lily and the spirit chi professional Ji Feng felt a deep love for Zhou. At the same time they felt a deep love for Zhou. Fortunately, after realizing this, Zhou Xian hurriedly took control of the pink and purple flower in her soul that had already bloomed to the point of blooming. Only then did Ji Feng and water lily break away from their love. Because Lin Yuan had only injected vitality into Zhou's body, he did not examine the condition of her soul. Therefore Lin Yuan was not affected by the absolute love poppy. Because of this, Lin Yuan saw the infatuated expressions on Ji Feng and water lily's faces. Lin Yuan could not help but be secretly shocked by the power of Zhou's sacred source life form. When the Jasmine Lily had healed Zhou, its vitality had washed through her bones, allowing Lin Yuan to know that Zhou was about 26 or 27 years old. She was only 2 or 3 years older than Zhongzhe, Gulang and Anhe. At such an age, Zhou's sacred source life form would at most be in the 4-star to 6-star growth stage. Unintentionally, Zhou's sacred source life form could affect Ji Feng, a pinnacle emperor-class expert, and water lily, a pinnacle myth breed plant fae. It was enough to show the power of Zol's sacred source life form. It was Lin Yuan's first time seeing such an ability that could make people feel love. Thinking about it, this function should be an extremely powerful control ability. It was somewhat similar to Fei Qianxiong's goo worms. However, compared to Fei Qianxiong's control ability, this method of inducing love was more efficient and powerful. Just like how Fei Qianxiong's goo worms used their lives to threaten a person, Zhou could directly transform a person into a crazy bootlicker. In Lin Yuan's opinion, Zol's sacred source lifeform's ability was very suitable for the work he was going to arrange for her. While Ji Feng commanded Water Lily to heal Zhou, he looked at Zhou with a guarded gaze. Ji Feng was very afraid that Zhou would use this plant's sacred source lifeform to control or threaten Lin Yuan's safety. However, Ji Feng was obviously thinking too much. After Su Yiren recovered, she immediately swore an oath with a law rune and pledged her loyalty to Lin Yuan. Zhou understood very well that Lin Yuan had saved her. Her loyalty to Lin Yuan was something they had agreed on at the Celestial Council. As a darkness envoy, Zhou was very knowledgeable. She knew that Lin Yuan had used a precious strategic resource like island whale brain oil to heal her. From this, it could be seen that Lin Yuan was not a stingy person. Therefore, Zhou felt that if she wanted to be put in an important position by Lin Yuan, the best way was to show her attitude first. Zol's injuries were now healed. Previously, Zhou had been unable to summon her own phase because all four of her phase were connected to the sacred source life form, Absolute Love Poppy. The Absolute Love Poppy was in a near-death state, causing her other phase to be unable to be summoned. At that moment, Zhou could finally summon her phase freely and use their strength to protect her safety. This allowed Zhou to regain the confidence that she had almost lost. After Su Yiren recovered from her injuries, she swore an oath of loyalty to herself. This was both unexpected and within Lin Yuan's expectations. But no matter what, he could see that Zhou was a smart person. It did not take much effort to communicate with smart people. ABC that you're tuning in to the Zhou Xian's Legacy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.